Is there such thing as too many plants? Let's talk about 5 signs you might have too many houseplants. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan Bain and this is Bain's Botanicals. Today we're going to be discussing 5 signs that you might have too many houseplants. I know that seems absurd to think, oh wow, how can you have too many plants? You know, it just seems so unrealistic, but truthfully you can, and I've been at a point a couple of times where I feel like I have too many. So I just wanted to discuss a few ideas that we can talk about and maybe find remedies to. The first sign you might have too many houseplants is you're spending too much money on plants. I mean, if you're kind of going beyond your budget a little bit and bringing in a lot at once. There's a fly in here. Can you believe that? That might be a sign that maybe you need to just budget like an allotment of money for plants weekly or monthly or whatever. You know, even if it's just like 20 or 30 bucks, where okay, this is my treat for myself, or I'll go get like a couple of plants. And it kind of keeps you from bringing in too much at once, which I've done. I've gone to Kansas City a few times and hit up all the greenhouses there and come home with a carload of stuff, which is fun, but you know, it's excessive, I guess. The next reason that you might have too many houseplants is if you don't have an idea of what you have. Like, let's say you walk into a greenhouse and you're like, oh, I see this really cool plant that I want. And you bring it home and you realize, oh my gosh, I already have this plant. I mean, it seems kind of unlikely, but you'd be surprised. Like, my spouse is really into movies, and there's been a couple of times where we have bought repeats of like the same movie because we have so many he doesn't even know how many he has, which is fine. We just need to make a list, like a master list. Anyway, I feel like I could walk into a greenhouse comfortably and be like, okay, I kind of have a general idea of what I have. I couldn't just list it all right away or anything, but I know enough that I wouldn't buy extra. I think the next thing kind of ties into that. I think you need to be able to appreciate everything you have. Like, every plant you have should be special. Like, it should speak to you in a way that makes you want to keep it. And that applies not just to plants, that could apply to anything in life. I mean, if something you own doesn't speak to you and doesn't like make you happy, you should just get rid of it. Like, we're so fortunate to have the things that we have, and as a society, we don't practice enough gratitude for that. I mean, flashback even only 100 years ago. I mean, I like having my phone. I like having a car with air conditioning and television and things that 100 years ago were either really special or didn't exist at all. Modern dentistry, you know, comfortable couches that aren't made of wood and cardboard, and I don't know, those Victorian couches look so uncomfortable. Anyway, so just practice some gratitude, and if you have a plant that doesn't speak to you anymore, let it go. Donate it or sell it. I've certainly gotten rid of plants that I bought, and at the time they seemed really exciting, and over time maybe it just doesn't spark my interest anymore, and that's okay. Sometimes those things are just meant to kind of guide us to something else. Okay, are we on number 4? I think we're on number 4. The fourth thing that you might take into consideration when you're assessing how many plants you have is space. If you physically run out of space to buy more plants, then you have too many plants. I mean, that's going to vary person to person based on houses and what kind of space we have allotted for plants. But even in my house, I mean, I own a 3-bedroom house, and all of my plants are in my living room because this is the only viable window. I mean, of course I use grow lights, but this is the only south-facing window that is unobstructed by a porch or trees or anything else. That being said, I have like 1 plant in my kitchen. Actually, I think I have 2, and the rest are here. So I only have this space, and most of my plants you can see are here. I have another shelf full of succulents off camera that you can't see, but this is all I have, so this is what I have to work with. And it's been to the point where I've had plants all over the floor just because I was going through them or I was watering them, and it just doesn't look very good. I think there's a fine line as far as like balancing the plants you have and the aesthetic of your room. So I have like pictures and a couch and other things in this room. I don't want to overpower those things that I enjoy, that I paid money for, that I have on display with plants. Like there's a happy medium, and finding the right balance is what makes a room really appealing and very inviting. I think the exception to that would be if you have like a sun porch. Well, okay, that's like meant to be packed full of plants, obviously. But yeah. So the number one thing that might be an indicator you have too many plants is watering. How much time are you spending watering? Me, right now, I spend at least 2 hours. And I probably do that once a week. Now, that's not just watering. When I water, I check for like yellow leaves, I check for pests. If something is dirty, I clean it off. If I have a plant that I'm trying to take care of, like if I have an English ivy, which I don't because they die, I would shower that every time I watered it. So that takes extra time. But I have a little over 90 plants right now, and it just takes time. It takes time to let the water drain through the drainage hole. Some plants it goes right through. Other ones, I feel like I give it a whole gallon of water and it still doesn't drain through. And the second part of that is, are you enjoying watering? Because again, practicing gratitude and knowing that taking care of a plant is part of the hobby. You don't want watering to become a chore, to become something you dread, because then that takes away from the enjoyment of your plants. And I've been there too, where it's just like, I worked all day or it gets really late in the day and I'm like, oh man, I need to water, but it's just so much to deal with sometimes. And I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow, it's fine. And then tomorrow comes and the same thing happens, I'll do it the next day. And then before too long, I've got plants that are like completely wilted and collapsed. I'm like, okay, now I really need to water. So you don't want it to get to that point though. Part of being a good plant parent is being responsible and biting the bullet with your watering, I guess. But it shouldn't be biting the bullet, it should be enjoyable. So I definitely have some room to improve myself. I like to set goal numbers, and I just do like increments. So right now I have a little over 90 plants. My goal right now is to get down to maybe 80. Just for now, just to get down to 80, just to offload a few so that the watering is not quite so intense. I think I counted how many gallons it takes. I'm at like 8 gallons because I use filtered water, so like I have to wait for like the water to refill and the filter, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. So those are kind of the 5 signs. Those are what I've experienced personally, and I think that those things can apply to most people. So just kind of take into consideration your collection and what you have, and are you enjoying the things you have? Do you feel like you're getting the most out of your experience with your plants? Because you don't want it to be overwhelming, and you don't want it to be obsessive or time consuming to the point of like having to sacrifice other things. It's all about balance, right? Everything we do in life has to be balanced and in moderation. That's my experience. That's some of my story with my plants the past couple of years. Let me know kind of what your all's story is. Have you ever been at a point where maybe you're watering too much, or where you just feel like you don't have any more space and have to like sacrifice some plants? I'm going to get some more videos for you guys. So until then, I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you.